Since the 15th century, Mount Bromo, located in the southeast of the island of Java, has been venerated by the Tengah community, which sees the volcano as the embodiment of the Hindu god Brahma. Each year, the Kasada ceremony takes them 2,329 meters after a dizzying ascent to the edge of the crater. This annual procession is the highlight of the religious life of this community. At the foot of the sacred volcano, Kadi, a Hindu priest, prepares the ceremony by gathering water filtered by the volcanic rock. He is the guardian of this ancestral tradition.
I am a priest from the Wanokitre village. I come to fetch holy water for the Kasada ceremony, so that you may protect us in our future lives, my Lord.
Volcanoes are incredibly dynamic places. So I think if you live by them, you have to try and explain why they are like that. They want the volcano gods to be happy. They want the gods to leave and go back into the mountain kind of satisfied and not angry. And of course, the flip side of that is that when the volcano does erupt, the assumption is that the volcano gods are somehow been angered, and that's a real problem for people.
Natural phenomena are often linked with spirituality, I think, because the phenomena of a volcano erupting is something that is so awe-inspiring that I think we all seek to have an explanation for it. And I think that's why quite often there's a spiritual relationship because of the intense relationship with the land that there is around volcanoes, but also just the raw power that is held within them when they start to erupt.
Mount Bromo erupts on average every 5 years. The volcano's intense activity regularly covers the region in a thick layer of ash. This volcanic dust covers everything, giving birth to vast lunar landscapes. Yet for the hundreds of thousands of inhabitants who live at its feet, Mount Bromo is a force for good. The minerals in its ashes feed the soils and guarantee abundant harvests. Atsoku feeds his whole family thanks to the fertility of the volcanic soils.
The fruits of your labors must be brought back to the Bromo volcano. That is the meaning of the Kasada prayer. Each year, we must bring our harvest as an offering to the volcano, because otherwise it can bring us bad luck. For here on Bromo, we do not want any deaths, no deaths. It just takes our harvest, like cabbages, potatoes, sweet potatoes, and also chilies. It's a duty. Everyone must participate.
I think what we have tried to do in the West is to separate nature from humanity, if you like. We've tried to separate people from natural phenomena. But in many other cultures and cultural traditions, nature and people are very much together. And you find that in many cultures in other parts of the world, you find that people consider themselves to be part of nature, and therefore that nature, in their interpretation, is responding to things that they do.
As a sign of gratitude, the Tengas return some of these treasures to the volcano. During the night, Kadi, Atsoko, and their community gather to pray and bless the offerings with the holy water gathered from the foot of the volcano. In the early morning, driven by an unbounded faith, the devotees begin their assault on the steep slopes of the volcano. At the end of a grueling ascent, the vast eruptive mouth is finally revealed to them. The offerings are thrown straight into the volcano's smoking crater.
Bromo is a very spectacular volcano. There's a Hindu temple right at the foot of the cone, but the offerings that are made are kind of syncretic belief systems where animism blends with monotheism, or in this case in Hinduism.
These kinds of offerings are really arise from a belief that people can influence the way in which a deity behaves. So their spiritual belief is that there is a God in this volcano, and if we appease him or her, then they will continue to protect us. And you see this from Indonesia to Italy. You see it in almost every part of the world, even today in many parts of the world where scientific beliefs are dominant.
Etna is the largest active volcano in Europe, an immutable landmark for the whole of Sicily. With more than 100 eruptions in the last century, the Monte Bello, as the Sicilians call it, has left a lasting impression on the most sulfurous island of the Mediterranean. At its feet, the city of Catania and its 300,000 inhabitants maintain a close relationship with the living mountain. Mathilde Rousseau was born in this city of lava, and she is passionate about its history.
Etna is the very essence of the city. Elsewhere in the world, they have the pole star to tell them which way is north. Etna does that job for us.
This extraordinarily active giant of fire spits forth immense waves of lava. Regularly, the inhabitants of Catania are threatened by its fits of rage.
Mount Etna in Sicily is a volcano it's very active, it's a very large mountain, and if you live in a village around the site of the volcano, then there's a chance that once every 100 or 200 years, lava flow will run into your village. And so the stories about what people did to respond to the volcano can very quickly become part of the oral history or the religious observances associated with the volcano.
When the lava flows advance towards the city, the inhabitants turn to their holy protector, Saint Agatha. According to legend, it was she who protected Catania against the eruption in 1639, the biggest in recorded memory. Since then, hundreds of thousands of the faithful have gathered each year in a huge procession to express their gratitude and their devotion to their holy protector.
Cittadini! 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 Siamo tutti tutti!
Legend has it that in front of the outer walls, there was a chapel with a picture of Saint Agatha inside. The chapel was destroyed, but the picture began to float on the lava and indicated the direction it should take. Just then, the lava flow changed direction, and instead of destroying the town, it skirted it and poured into the sea.
Burnt as a martyr at the stake, the patron saint's destiny was closely linked to the incandescent nature of this territory. The inhabitants of Catania are in no doubt. Their prayers will convince Saint Agatha to protect the city against Etna's eruptions.
They have this thing called kind of parallel practices. So when they know about there's a dangerous eruption or threatens them, they'll do all the things the scientists tell them to do, but they'll also go into prayer. They'll pray, and they don't care which one works, whether science works or religion works. So there's a wonderful duality about the Italian volcanoes, about people's belief systems in science and belief systems in God working together.
For 3 days and 3 nights, the Sicilians chant the name of Agatha and implore her protection. In Guatemala, the same Christian faith has mobilized crowds for centuries, and many processions punctuate the religious life of the communities. But in this volcanic land, the link to the giants of fire goes back much further and has its roots in the ancient pre-Hispanic traditions, those of the Mayan civilization. Lake Atitlan was born from an immense eruption.
One of the largest eruptions in the last 100,000 years was the Los Chocollos eruption around 87,000 years ago, which formed Lake Atitlan. The lake occupies a large caldera formed in this colossal event.
This lake was one of the crucibles of the Mayan civilization, which found wealth and prosperity on these shores. Today, overlooked by 3 imposing volcanoes, it nourishes the spiritual life of this people. A stone's throw away, a young volcano has taken over and is shaking the region with its violent eruptions. Appearing in 1922, Santiaguito has since been in permanent activity. Its crater continuously pumps out a thick cloud of ash. For the inhabitants who live at its feet, it is Mother Earth expressing herself and speaking to them. Mario is a shaman. He interprets these volcanic messages and advocates a spiritual life in harmony with the telluric forces.
Today, in the Mayan calendar, is Ochibnor, 3 acquaintances. This is a Mayan ceremony. We are honoring the volcano and invoking our grandparents, our ancestors. In reality, through its energy and strength, the volcano is trying to tell us something. It's expressing itself. It's like the volcano is talking to us. It's saying, "Here I am."
For Mario, the eruption of Sonchaguito is a highly symbolic moment.
Nahualcan is when the volcano erupts. There, we are in harmony. The volcano is speaking, expressing itself. From this, I understand that the volcano is made of matter, and living energy. And it tells me that everything on the surface of the earth is alive.
They are incredibly inspirational because of the different things that they do, and they make you understand and realize where you are in terms of your place on the earth.
I think for communities that live on volcanoes, particularly active volcanoes, it's obvious that they're going to build the activity that they see somehow into the cosmology that they hold, their worldview, the way they perceive things.
Behind the scenes of jubilation and crowds chanting their fervor, it is sometimes in the greatest privacy that devotees of volcanoes express their faith. Confidential ceremonies where the soul of the faithful opens up to the spirits that populate the living mountain in salutary seclusion. Ecuador is crossed by the Andes Cordillera, the largest volcanic chain on the planet. Its highest volcano, Cotopaxi, is a landmark for an entire people.
If you're living on the volcano, it's a natural landmark, it's an attraction, it's something that you can't ignore. And it's also a kind of portal, it's a gateway to somewhere else.
Santiago is building a temazcal, a traditional tent that hosts an ancestral ritual.
So, you put it in this position and I'll go on the other side.
Like this or more, Santiago?
Pull a little more. Pull a little more.
The position of the temazcal is not chosen at random. The traditional tent is aligned with the volcano in order to capture its energies. These energies are at the center of their living traditional medicine.
We begin by positioning the temazcal towards the volcano so that there is a straight line between the volcano, the fire, and the temazcal, which promotes healing. The construction is part of the ceremony. At this precise moment, we are already in full ceremony. In a way, it is asking that traditional medicine may return to our people. We want this ancestral medicine that the Spanish conquest and colonization have tried to erase or make us forget. to continue to exist and be very present.
The volcano is a synthesis of all the elements because it condenses and combines all the oppositions that form life and that, by contrast, form the unity of the universe. Water, fire, white, black, male, female. We are constantly in this duality, heaven and earth. The volcano condenses all that. Without fire, without water, there's no volcano.
Temazcal is a ritual of care and purification. By heating the volcanic stones from Cotopaxi, the shaman comes into contact with and lets himself be possessed by Apu, sacred spirit of the volcano. This ritual enables him to heal many ailments of body and mind.
Temazcal purifies your energies. The ritual is performed in a circular hut, which represents a mother's womb. It makes it possible to kill evil and let good be reborn. In the Temazcal, the four elements intervene to form a universe together. We heat the stones so that they regain their wisdom of the early times. That's why we plunge them into the incandescent embers. With the water, we make steam, which purifies the energies that surround the Temazcal, the people's energies.
One of the ways of explaining how volcanoes behave and explaining volcanic phenomena is to ascribe those phenomena to gods. So here we have gods as the source of power behind the natural world and the behavior of the gods as an explanation for the way the volcanoes are behaving.
In the pantheon of volcanoes, each living mountain has its own temperament.
It's very common, I think, to think of volcanoes as having a human personality. Personification is something that I think we all naturally do. And very often, communities around volcanoes will talk about them as either a he, or actually more commonly in the places where I've worked, as a she. And she who has a temper that she is not afraid to express.
The volcanic archipelago of Hawaii is home to the world's most active volcano, Kilauea. Its lava flows are gaining ground on the sea, expanding the island by several dozen hectares each year. Hawaiians see this prodigious activity as the work of the goddess Pele, mistress of fire, earth, and volcanoes. For millennia, the divinity has stamped on the ground, pulled flames from the depths, and erected mountains above the sea.
The goddess Pele is the most important god on Hawaii. She has a retinue of lovers and friends and family, and there are many stories about Pele's exploits and about her anger.
The Hawaiians react philosophically to the rages of their goddess. They see her not as a source of destruction, but creation. With each eruption, layer upon layer, Pele provides new lands. For generations, Pilani's family has witnessed the creative movement that transforms the face of the island day by day. Several times their village, Kalapana, has been swept away by lava flows. But each eruption has miraculously spared their home.
In 1986 is when the first lava came to this area. And so the lava came all the way till the road right there, and that's the highway. That used to be the old Kalapana Road. And so we were told that we needed to evacuate. But my grandmother, she said, no, not yet. So she told us to go and clean the yard, clean the inside of the house. And she said, we are expecting an important guest, a very, very important guest. And if this guest wants to stay, she can have whatever she wants in the house. This is for her.
Under the benevolent gaze of the goddess Pele, the inhabitants of Kalapana have made this infinite cycle a way of life apart.
What appears instinctively in a Western culture to be a disaster or a catastrophe is not necessarily regarded that way in other parts of the world. But many of these people don't want to move. They don't want to move because they don't want to leave their land, they don't want to leave their houses, and often they have religious beliefs that help them rationalize that. So volcanoes had become part of the culture, and that it was accepted really as part of the rhythm of the culture, so that you had cycles of periods of good life and then periods of destruction, periods of good life and periods of destructions.
Hidden in the folds of Kilauea, the lava lake Ale Mau Mau is an open window on the bowels of the volcano. In this vast magmatic cauldron, jets of lava burst forth before falling back and melting into the original magma. The island's inhabitants, who venerate the goddess Pele as much as they fear her, have been dancing and singing in her honor for generations. This fervor has given birth to an art form that is unique in the world, the secular tradition of Ula.
Pele is a creative goddess. The Hawaiian people, we think very positive of her. She is a loving goddess. She gives us beautiful land all the time. It's a gift from her, really. She destroys some land, but she creates more new land over the old land. So it is a gift, we feel, to us.
It's all about that respect. Respect for nature, respect for the magma, the lava. And so the Hawaiians have a name for everything. We have a name for every different part of the lava flow. So it's not just about Pele, it's about the relationship of every entity, every element that surrounds us.
In Tanzania, another god has made his home in a volcano.
Many volcanoes are themselves regarded as the gods or the house of the spirits. And in the case of Oldonyo Lengai in Tanzania, for example, the name means the mountain of God.
The mountain is home to the great Engai, creator god, source of all things. Mwenga is a young warrior. He regularly climbs to the top of the volcano to attract the god's favor.
Oldonyo Lengai is a good example. The fact that it is called God isn't down to its crater hole, but because it spits fire. For us, Maasai, we believe in this sacred mountain, that God has given us our cows, goats, calves. God has given us everything.
Engai created the savanna and the herds that live there. He also created the Maasai to watch over the flocks. At the foot of the living mountain, the traditional songs ring out and mingle with the roars of the active crater. Hours of trails separate this volcanic territory from the closest town. Away from the modern world, these men and women go with the flow of the Lengai. The volcano is their landmark, a lighthouse in this ocean of rock and ash.
Oldonyo Lengai helps us. We make sacrifices for him. We sacrifice goats, among other things, and that allows women who cannot have children to become fertile. Is that not a benefit? So there is a God. Yes, there is a God who makes the rain. God makes the rain.
Oldonyo Lengai volcano in Tanzania is a unique volcano. Of course, they're all unique, but Lengai is particularly unusual. It's the only volcano on the planet that erupts washing soda. So it has carbonate lavas, which we do see back in geological time, but it's the unique example today. Lengai also erupts the runniest lavas that we've observed on Earth. They are so fluid, it looks almost like water just sloshing across the ground. And on eruption, they form kind of dark grey masses on the ground, but over time, quite rapidly, they hydrate in the atmosphere and turn a kind of white or light grey colour and become very, very crumbly.
This white ash expelled by the volcano is sacred for the Maasai. The Laibon, spiritual guide of the village, contacts Angai by means of this volcanic dust. Before each ascent, Mwenga comes to consult him.
I shall make sure everything is going well. My calabashes will tell me. There. I see what will happen in the mountains. Everything is clear. I can give you my blessing.
It's one of the steepest volcanoes I've ever climbed. It really is one where, as you get towards the top, you go 2 steps up and you slide down a step and you just try and keep going. And then you look down from the edge and it's incredibly vertiginous. The slopes just drop away from you. So it's very dramatic.
I arrived here atop Ulduinyo Lengai, and I feel very well. I've just arrived without any problems, and I feel fine. It's really wonderful.
There's no other setting on Earth, there's no other place you can go on Earth where you get such a vivid demonstration of the power of something under your feet that is much more immense than you can imagine.
Volcanoes are aesthetically appealing and they can be wonderful places to live near. The volcano becomes your neighbor, it becomes your friend, it becomes a part of your life to have it on your doorstep.
In Japan, volcanoes occupy a central place in Shinto traditions. Here, the Japanese have developed an intimate, personal link with the living mountains. Shintoism considers natural sites as places where spirits, kemis, reside. Guardians of a place, they stay on a mountain, protect a forest, lodge under a waterfall, or nestle at the top of a volcano. Mr. Honda has a particularly strong bond with these spirits of nature and his neighbor, Mount Unzen. At the foot of this volcano, one of the most active in Japan, this man maintains a mystical relationship with the living mountain.
Mount Unzen is like a god to us. But he also makes us feel a typically Japanese emotion by belonging to this earth. He makes us want to be friends with him for eternity.
Inhabitant of Shimabara, Mr. Honda lived through the terrible eruptions of the early 1990s. The Unzen is known worldwide for its deadly pyroclastic flow. For more than 5 years, these incandescent avalanches have burned and destroyed everything in their path. His home, the nearest one to the Unzen, is the only one in the neighborhood to have escaped the damage caused by the volcano's anger. Today, trees uprooted by the eruptions have come back to life in the middle of his garden.
This is a camphor tree. It symbolizes survival. It reminds me of the disaster. It was damaged by trees during a pyroclastic flow. We had to cut it down, and I brought it home and planted it. My garden has several such damaged trees. Like this mulberry, for instance. According to the Shintoist way of thinking, I inherited the feeling of wanting to take root here from the trees. I listened to them, and I stayed. This mountain is the center of our existence here. People lead a normal life. Even if the volcano begins to erupt again, or another disaster happens, this is the place where I feel most at peace. Only here does my spirit feel at ease. Only here.
I became interested in how other people saw volcanoes and had rationalized the existence of volcanoes and volcanic eruptions in the past. So I heard stories about how there were gods inside volcanoes and about how volcanoes were the results of gods' activities. And I thought, this is something that science needs to try and understand. We need to try and engage with those views, not simply to dismiss them.
In New Zealand, the Maori gods found refuge in the folds of the volcanoes. They populate the hot springs and steep reliefs of the living mountains. For the Maoris, these places are tapu, which means sacred. When a team of volcanologists wants to study the volcano Ruapeu, one of the most mythical in New Zealand, it is accompanied by the tribe's spiritual guide, who lives at its foot. Here, science and religion advance hand in hand. Before the operation begins, the guide pays his respects to the spirits that live in the crater lake. Under the aegis of the great Ruapeu, ancient tradition meets modern science.
He karanga no hoki tēnei ki a koe tā kakaari o tātou nā piki. Tēnei nō rā te reo karanga ki a koe. Hara mai koe ki te tautoko i a mātou nei mai. Whakataka te hau ki te tonga. Kia mākina ki uta. Kia mātaratara ki tai. Kia hiake ana te atakura he tia.
For the scientists too, Ruapeu is a mythical volcano. Its anger is often unpredictable. Thanks to a close dialogue with the Maori communities who live at the foot of the volcano, the scientists hope to learn more about the eruptive history of Ruapeu. The legendary stories of this people, handed down from generation to generation, are full of valuable clues to the giants' past eruptions.
In New Zealand, Maoris and scientists are really working together. At the scientific level, we're trying with the instruments, the technology we have, to understand what's going on at the volcanic level and what might happen in the future. But the Maoris are helping us with all the volcanic events that took place in the past. So this harmony between the two allows us to compare what we have with technology and what they have with traditions. And together, it lets us really understand what's going on in the volcano and what might happen in the future.
I think there doesn't have to be a clash. I think there can be an accommodation. And that's why in a lot of places there's a lot of dialogue going on between the volcano scientists and the authorities and with faith and spiritual leaders on volcanoes to be able to communicate in terms that a population will understand.
One of the things that both the volcanologists and the communities who live on the volcano share, uncertainty about what's going to happen next. And it's very important then for the communities and the volcanologists to have a dialogue, because what we want to do is share the knowledge that we have and share our understanding of that uncertainty so that everybody can make decisions that are going to work best for them in the face of that activity.
The men of faith and the scientists come together around their common passion for volcanoes and share a deep respect for these mysterious territories.
With us as Māori, it's never ever been about ownership. It's always just been about kaitiakitanga. Kaitiakitanga just means taking care of the surroundings and the land we have. There is one saying that was said by our latest chief's father, Sir Hepi Te Heuheu, and he addressed New Zealand by saying, "Whakangaro te tangata, toi tū te whenua," which means all living things shall fall when the sun sets. But when the sun rises the next day, the mountains and the lands will always endure. And so, based on that, there's always three words I always alert everybody with, and I believe knowledge brings respect, and respect will bring awareness. And with those three words, our lands and our surroundings will endure for the rest of time.
Volcanoes preceded us and will continue to unleash their power long after we have gone. But as long as man walks the earth, he will carry in his soul the scorching fire of volcanoes.
For thousands of years, people have used their belief systems to understand how the planet works. Science has come along in the last few hundred years. Volcano science has come along in the last century or so. So why should people give up thousands of years of understanding just because some expert or professor comes in and tells them that how a volcano